present now. Thank you to all of you. My name is Carole Piette, co-founder of a group called Project. Social and environmental entrepreneurs get together. And I don't know if it's because I have a little boy, 3.5 years old, and I'm in the world of mutants and superheroes. And we are a collective group of mutants. We live, breathe, and accompany a mutation. As far as I'm concerned, I mutated because I landed on Earth full of convictions. Why should girls wear pink? I couldn't understand that. And I liked to show my disagreements, and whoever was throwing paper in the streets would hear from me. And then logically, I launched into a professional in foodstuffs in 3 people called Alter Eco. And the idea was to democratize fair trade. And very quickly, I received 2 titles. I was both a feminist and an activist. But I could be an activist in retailing. And things went well with Alter Eco. And a few years after, we created Project. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I lost my title of activist because being with retailers, I end up liking them. Why not? So I wasn't very credible anymore, but I remained a feminist. But still, I am, nowadays, runner-up to Miss Bio. So that's my crown. Incredible things happen, right, in this revolution towards positive. So this is just an introduction on my mutation. And at Project, this collective group of entrepreneurs, we all share this wish now of accepting what is there, but we think that anything is possible. You can change things. Project. Our job is to support companies so their economic model is in line with the ecosystems that they depend on. And so when we meet somebody, we assess the ecosystem and look how dependent they are to the ecosystem, what investment is necessary for regeneration of their ecosystem, at least as quickly as it is used, or at least does not worsen. And we work on the basis of a tree. The tree planted in temperate climates or tropical climates. And agroforesting. I'm very happy to be here and talk to you about trees and agroforesting. I've got nice stories to tell you. I love to tell stories. And it's the story of a treasure. A tree is a treasure, and nowadays trees are the best investment that you can make on Earth. When you plant a tree, it costs a few pennies, but for 50 or 100 years, it will help the ecosystem free of charge to you, individual, company, planet, producers. And this is what I'm going to try and demonstrate for you, what the ecosystem services are and why trees are a treasure. So we start with 2 successive pictures of intensive monoculture, single culture. I certainly wouldn't want to be there. Single crops. Look, the sun is there, drought, or the ground is quickly dried out. But then when you look at this is the agroforested scheme. I'd like you to try and look at this and try and remember all that you can have learned on trees when you were small. And we're going to describe this cycle for agroforestry. Trees are a well of carbon, and in view of world warming, global warming, it's very important. They're also going to preserve water sources and act with the rooting system to go way down and get nutriments from the plants, and then they will clean water tables. A tree will also be an elevator, bringing all these nutrients up, and then the leaves will fall back down on the ground with the help of insects, fungus or fungi, mushrooms, mushrooms, and so forth. A compost will be created. And the idea is to combine different types of culture and crops so that each one will bring nutriments, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and all these words that you see on the chemical bottles of fertilizers. All this will be there. So trees will be involved in the regeneration of an ecosystem. But it's a protective coverage also, because in case of heavy rains, it will help you against flooding. If you have just a blank piece of land, trees will help. Droplets will then run down along the leaves, down into the roots, will be then conserved in the ground, and dampness will be maintained. The air will be damper, fresher, and in case of high heat or drought, it will help. And the wind impact is broken also by trees. So that will be a definite advantage for the planet. So a tree creates value for a planet, and agroforesting, this system that I illustrated for you with a picture, is an opportunity for better balancing and for the overall ecosystem. Trees also create value for producers. Small farmers that we work with in our Pure Project group see several advantages to integrating trees. You need less entrants, less chemical products, and the diversification of products. You can sell fruit, biomass, and why not wood also. There are better yields because of the different insects that are there who've come back to the agroforest areas. What are these? They pollinize and they bring down the impact. And so I don't know if I can make you dream, but it's difficult for all of these to penetrate in these aspects. And so for the heritage also, it's a very good way of doing things. In Peru, people call this forest project insurance retirement. It's a best way of having heritage. They have a lot of added value. And since we fit in certification, carbon certification schemes, a lot of the projects give access to deeds. And this is why acquiring such heritage is very important, and it's a revolution and a true benefit for the small producers. A tree also creates value for companies at different levels. First, on supply chains. These producers of raw materials and commodities that we all use, and the fact that you work on agroforesting programs, mean that you can secure the logistics and the supply chain. This is a customer who produces coffee. Coffee is strategic for him, and we set up a pilot scheme in Philippines. In Asia, Nescafé noted that the frequency and the intensity of climate incidents increase. The result of this is that crops are poor, and there's this need in certain countries to import import coffee in places where before the countries were self-sufficient. And so, through agroforesting with trees, we are helping the producers to have better yields and to go back to producing coffee, which they had started bypassing, and then bringing down their cost. And in this particular situation, the chemical entrants or chemical products that are added is expensive. So that brings down the cost of coffee producers and brings down the coffee price of the coffee bean in Vietnam. Now, another benefit for a company is to add to this notion of compensation within the different industries. We talk a lot about CO2 compensation.
C'est perçu comme une contrainte, c'est décorrélé de l'activité de l'entreprise.
And so, with these agroforesting program and schemes, we can find systems so that the carbon emissions can be taken into account and compensated. We have a company called Chocolat Alba, and they purchase cocoa from cocoa producers, and they developed an agroforesting program with them. Chocolat Alba is part of the improvement of life conditions for these people and for everything. And the carbon offset is obvious. And the offset payment also goes far beyond just producing CO2. And so it's social carbon, if you want to call it. Social carbon, integrated social carbon, if you want to go further. And based on this offsetting idea, our projects around trees are very important because we're not only talking about carbon or CO2. We can talk about everything at stake: water, ground, biodiversity, climate, and then a few more examples. Clarins, which is a cosmetic company, uses a lot of aromatic plants, medicinal plants, plants for makeup, cosmetic production. We worked with them on biodiversity, and the company decided to take part in schemes to reintroduce makeup trees and medicinal plants and trees in Amazonia with special trees that you use for the Amazonian face painting. They also set up schemes to preserve biodiversity in China, where Clarins is quite developed as cosmetics. That way they are closer to their consumers, to their staff, and there's a global vision of one single planet and an action that goes beyond CO2 footprint and just offsetting whatever you have borrowed from the planet. The idea is we are a company, we need plants, we need biodiversity, and we're going to go on and act where it's consistent, where our staff are based, and we're going to tell a story on our products. Because if you look at these famous makeup trees, you have all sorts of eco-designed products with natural makeup and the story that goes with it. We also have the case with another beneficiary, Vitel, which is water. Vitel didn't want to talk about carbon offsetting. They wanted to talk about water. What they decided was to reintegrate trees around the spring where water comes from, where the water table is, but also set up programs in Amazonia where you find the most water resources, and they planted 1 million trees and protected 20,000 hectares of primeval forest. And this is on their packaging. And so trees can be used to show the value of a brand, but a tool that fits in line with the story of what the company is doing and seen by the consumers as truly consistent. And I think that nowadays this is really what a lot of consumers are looking for. A lot of people would like to find companies which, whatever their weight, whatever their scope, tell a real story which makes sense and act for their ecosystem. What we want, after all, is that our children will profit from the same things we were able to have. Fresh air, pure air, fish that you can eat that comes from the sea, bathe in a river, in the sea. And we as consumers, we all want that companies give us messages for the planet with a consistent message. in what they say and what they do. And so this value given to the brand, enhanced by the brand, is something that works very efficiently. Accor, the hotel chain, had a system. I'm sure when you went to hotels, they worked on saving the washing of towels. These towels, it was only 5% less. The customers didn't always put their towels on the floor or put them back on the towel racks, depending, but also because the cleaning ladies didn't act accordingly. And then Accor wanted to map its ecosystem. They decided to map what they looked like in terms of environment. And they were very surprised to note that the most negative impact they had was on water, particularly because of the upstream agricultural industry. And so the agroforesting program made sense and mechanisms were set up. They decided to ask their customers to put their towels on a rack again. Every time they will do that and put 5 towels back on a rack, they will plant a tree. And so we went from 5% to 15%. So people felt motivated. And customers, as well as chambermaids, decided that it was important to be involved. This was done in 16 countries, particularly where these Accor hotels were. And so the workers or the staff could come and see where the trees were planted. And look at this picture. That is very representative of a team working hand in hand. And then a last positive impact for companies working with trees. I agree with that. Trees really act as a breathing lung for the planet, but they are also one of the pillars of tomorrow's economy. With trees, you have advantages for the planet, for the producers, agricultural farmers in the tropical environment as well as in temperate climates. We also have advantages for companies. So it's a circular vision that starts being set up. And I think that nowadays there's so much to do to repair the damage connected to the past 100 years of economic development. And so repairing the planet is the best positive growth area. And these jobs that are required to repair the damage will lead to an economy that is more in line with its own ecosystem. And I believe that a tree is the most beneficial investment that can be done. A tree is a treasure, and a tree can take part in the reconciliation between economy and ecosystems. And so I invite you now to take part in this reconciliation at your individual level, because we have an exhibition, beautiful, by Nazia Messaoui, which is in the networking space, that way, where you can go and put your feet and feel your heartbeat and see a virtual tree being built for which a true tree will be planted. So thank you. After this conference cycle, please visit this exhibition. Thank you very much.